Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So the news this week is awful. Let's look at the numbers because I was optimistic when I saw low sales, but wait till you see where our inventory is at this week. So in Georgetown this week, we had 15 properties sell. Again, that's sort of that middle ground we talk about. 12 of them sold over asking, so lots of bidding wars. We only had 7 new listings this week. That is like no new listings basically. So that's gonna mean we are going to see a huge drop in our inventory this week. It doesn't get better. Let's look at Acton. Acton this week had 3 properties sell. 2 of them sold over asking, so still lots of bidding wars there as well. No new listings in Acton this week. Ooh. Glen Williams, Limehouse, and the rural market all saw no sales this week. The Glen Williams market had 1 new property enter the market. It's almost $2 million. It's awesome though, so I imagine it will sell. Limehouse saw no new listings. I wanted to account. I don't think Limehouse has seen a new listing in like 2 months. It feels like forever. And the rural market saw 3 new listings. So that is the only market that had more inventory come up than sales, but honestly, it's still not good. Okay, so now let's look at active inventory. Last week, we had 57 available properties in all of Halton Hills. I told you we were getting into very scarce territory there. It dropped to 46 active listings this week. I could cry. 46 in all of Halton Hills. So that is the lowest overall inventory number we have seen since February 9th. The last week of January, we had 44 active listings, so that number was lower. February 2nd was our all-time low this year at 39 active listings. But other than that, this is our 3rd worst week of the year. So I anticipate next week we may dip into that 30s. I don't think, again, this week we will see inventory climb. I don't know when it's going to, but I really hope that by like October, we're back in the numbers that we were seeing in April and May, where it still was chaos, but we had like some options, because right now this is very, very bad. So last week in Georgetown, we had 28 active listings. We are down to 18 active listings. That is the 2nd worst week of the year in Georgetown. So Georgetown inventory is very, very low right now. It's one of the lowest we've seen all year. And that is, it's just telling sellers that there is still so much demand. And if you want to list your property, you're still going to be getting that top dollar for it. So looking at our price points, under 700,000 was at 3 last week. It is down to 1 active listing. 7 to 800,000 was at 2 last week. It is down to also 1 active listing. Seeing a trend here. 800 to $1 million. We were at 5 active listings last week. We are at 4 this week. And a huge drop in our $1 million+ price point. Last week we were at 17, and this week we are down to only 12. That is overall really, really bad numbers. I don't know what's going to happen or when this is going to change. A lot of people, August is historically a slow listing month. People are sometimes away. The problem this year is that the buyers are still here. So hopefully people get the message and they start to throw their properties on in September and October. But like honestly, really bad news for buyers because these numbers are continuing to just get worse. Acton this week, down to only 5 active listings from 9. Of those 5, 3 of them are in the sold conditional status. So technically available on market, there are only 2 properties in Acton. So that is, I think, the worst number we've seen in Acton. So Glen Williams this week is up, yay, to 2 active listings. Limehouse remains the same at 1 active listing. And the only market that went up this week is the rural market. We had 18 last week and we are up to 20 this week. With town inventory being so low, we should see a spike in those rural sales coming up. The interesting thing is of the 20, only 5 of them are under $2 million. So we have some huge price point rural properties available, but not a lot of the lower, I'll call it lower, under $2 million available. Okay, so I am still surprised that we really are not feeling any kind of change. I really thought by the end of the summer we might be shifting a bit. I've been talking about it the last few weeks, but I just don't think this market is going anywhere this year. People are like, oh, it's going to turn, but the numbers don't lie, and the amount of bidding wars and the amount of buyers that are there are so far from meeting how many listings we are getting that I think it's going to be a very long time before we feel any kind of cool down. So overall, this is still a really good time for sellers to be capitalizing on what we're seeing in the marketplace. This is one of the lowest numbers we've seen in terms of available inventory in all of 2021. And we all know the kind of market we've been in 2021. I don't anticipate next week I'll have any better news. Like, last week of August is usually the worst week for new listings. I know the buyers are here, but people are getting the kids ready for school and stuff like that. I think our inventory is going to continue to drop the next few weeks. And hopefully by mid-September, we start to feel a shift in some inventory hitting the market. But again, super far away from a balanced market. So I'll be back next Tuesday. Have a great week, everyone.